Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Richmond. Councilmember Atkins. Councilmember Burnett.
Here.
Councilmember House.
Here.
Councilmember Hazelbaker.
Here.
Councilmember Festa.
Here.
Councilmember Beckler.
Here.
Mayor Kramer.
Here. We've heard from Councilman Pierce. He's unable to attend tonight, so I would appreciate a motion to excuse him.
Motion to excuse. Support.
We have support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Councilman Pierce is excused. We have a spot on our agenda now and at the end of the meeting for public comments. So if anyone would like to address the council, you may do so now or at the end of the meeting.
My name is Steve Collins. I live at 27 Michael Drive, which is in the proposed neighborhood improvement zone that you'll be voting about tonight. I'm opposed to the establishment of a neighborhood improvement authority for this zone. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Scheid.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I want to take a quick minute to introduce our newest police officer, Greg Moore. Greg has kind of a non-traditional approach to how he does it with law enforcement, but he is a Coldwater native, graduated from Coldwater when he got a bachelor's degree. Ended up in the private industry and working for Walmart for quite a period of time, doing some loss prevention stuff. Had put through the police academy and decided he wanted to come back and join the forces of law enforcement. So he's a great addition to our department, and I look forward to having him with us. So if anybody had any questions or Greg wants to say anything, good. Greg, very good, thank you.
Welcome, Greg. Thank you. Any other public comments this time?
I am Suzette Arnold. I live at 20 Marshall Drive, also in the neighborhood improvement authority that you're going to be talking about later this evening. I am also opposed to it, as I feel there's other areas in the city that need to be focused on besides where this is being looked at.
Thank you.
I'm Robert Collins, and 27 Michael Drive, Coldwater, and I am also opposed to what you're trying to do in our neighborhood.
Thank you. Any other public comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll go to our consent agenda. These are items that are considered to be routine. We'll take them in one motion unless someone up here or someone in the audience wants further clarification. Tonight on our consent agenda, we have our minutes of November 25th, Planning Commission minutes of November 18th, and our financial reports for October. Would anyone in the audience like anything removed for clarification? Anybody up here? If not, we would look for a motion to approve our consent agenda.
Move to approve our consent agenda.
Support.
We have motion and support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Bills and accounts, they're asking us to approve $401,280 tonight. All the detail are online for us or anyone to review. Of that amount, you may have noticed $250,000 is for the sweeper we had approved, and $40,000 is a payment to the township, part of payment for the tax or the prison income we get in the township. So almost $300,000 of that $400,000 on those two items. But Tom is here. If anyone has any questions or comments? Not a motion to approve our bills.
So moved. Support.
We have motion and support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Bills are paid. Number 5, City Manager Report. Keith.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, council members. I'd first like to make a plug for those that might be interested in contributing to our holiday decoration fund. That's a fund that's held at the Branch County Community Foundation, and we use those monies to maintain our holiday decorations and to keep them in good condition. So this time of year, as you're seeing them in use, we find that that's a good opportunity in which to remind people that that's available should they be interested. Leaf collection is nearly complete. DMS is currently completing that. For those residents who have put out their piles, we'll get them, even if we've been by. But we're really emphasizing, encouraging, and requiring residents to, anything else that were to be put out, yard waste wise, we will collect bagged. We will continue to collect bags, weather permitting, and so we'd ask that residents abide by that and put them in bags from here on out. On the police department side, a number of announcements. One is the departure of Officer Suleiman Sambol, who was finishing up his tenure with the Coldwater Police Department this next week, and will be taking a position with Calhoun County, and we wish him well in his new endeavor. Officers Sarah Gunneman and Officer Matt Schonauer represented the city of Coldwater by attending the funeral of a slain City of Detroit police officer killed in the line of duty this past Friday, and we appreciate their willingness to do so, and I know that the law enforcement community in the City of Detroit appreciate representation by other departments at those type of events. And then of course you just have the introduction of our newest officer, Greg Moore. So we welcome him to the community. Well, he's already been a member of the community, but we welcome him to the organization with the city. We inevitably get calls on the night of Shop with a Cop, so we want to make sure everyone is aware that Shop with a Cop is this Thursday, December 12th, and we appreciate the Sheriff's Department organizing and sponsoring that. The Coldwater Police and Fire Departments participate in that, and both the city, the BPU, and individually the police department staff have raised monies to go towards that. So cumulatively, that was what, $850 just through our employees' contributions to that worthy program.
Keith, what time is that going to happen?
Sure.
The dinner starts at 4, and I think it's going to be 6 o'clock.
So just to repeat, the dinner for those families participating would be at 4 o'clock, and shopping would commence around 6. So if you see something, see whether at Myers or Walmart or elsewhere, it's not being robbed or fired, so they're shopping with a cop. So. Yet this week also, the 2020 city calendar will be distributed in Wednesday's Shopper's Guide, so look for that. And then afterwards, additional copies will be available here at City Hall. And closings, we're closing in on the upcoming holidays, and so the Recreation Center and City Hall will be closed on Tuesday and Wednesday, December 24th and 25th, as well as Tuesday and Wednesday, December 31st and January 1st. The Recreation Building will also have some shortened hours for Saturday, I believe it's the 28th. And then on behalf of the city and BPU, we would like to wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a prosperous New Year. And lastly, there were a number of emails that were sent today, so in that flurry of emails, I want to make sure that everyone is receiving them, and that you're receiving them via the Coldwater.org, your Coldwater.org email addresses. So if you're not, please let us know, and we'll correct any technical issues that we might be having if you're not receiving those. And that's what I have.
Questions for Keith? Comments? The December 23rd meeting, to be determined. Traditionally, if you have a non-important agenda item, we've traditionally not held that meeting, but probably going to wait another week to see what pops up, so it may or may not have a meeting on the 23rd December.
Good, vote on that now.
Vote on it?
No.
He'll make a recommendation. We'll see how next week goes, and we'll let everybody know. Any other questions for Keith? Not a motion to approve the city manager report.
Motion to approve city manager's report.
Support.
Motion and support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 6 is a letter from Deb Sikorsky regarding the establishment of the Neighborhood Improvement Authority for Thompson Boulevard. Our action tonight, after discussion, would be to introduce this ordinance, and would come back to council and a month,
And then when our next meeting would end up being.
30 days, for finalization, if it is approved tonight. So Deb, you want to explain this?
Right. Back in August, you folks passed a resolution to intend to create this neighborhood improvement authority. It's a tax increment financing authority, so you're going to take a base tax year, and then whatever growth accumulates from that, you're going to capture dollars from the other taxing entities. Those entities and the district residents were then notified. We also held a public hearing back in September, and then we've had the 60-day waiting period. The ordinance that you have before you is ordinance 829, and it would create that neighborhood improvement authority. The adoption of that won't happen until your next meeting, whenever that happens. And after that point, then we would establish and appoint an NIA board, of which there has to be residents and certain representation from council. Then they would prepare a development and a financing plan over the next term of the authority, and then they would adopt that plan. So all of those items would come back before council.
Questions for Deb?
Deb, what makes this a good neighborhood to do this in as opposed to other neighborhoods in the city?
Well, for one thing, they restructured PA 57 here recently, so that spurred some of that, and the Neighborhood Improvement Authority hadn't been available to do this type of thing before that. Also, this particular neighborhood, we've got, the city had purchased some lots for economic development, and the not subsidized housing, low-income and moderate housing that we are proposing there. So that base dollar amount is going to be very low. So anything that would occur between now and the next 10 years as part of our development project is going to be able to be captured and put back into the infrastructure for this specific neighborhood.
So the circumstances have to be just right then. It's not going to work in any neighborhood in the city. There's lots of neighborhoods that would work in.
Right, because there's not going to be the potential growth there over that time period.
Is that a requirement?
No, it's not.
So it could be done in other neighborhoods for
Yes.
whatever reason, there's no specific
Yes,
reason.
but then your potential growth is going to be tied to the inflation rate, basically, unless, of course, you're building something new, right?
Right.
And Deb, there's no, just to clarify so everyone understands, there's absolutely no effect if the council would move forward on this, on any current residents' current tax or future tax, what they're going to pay. It has nothing to do with
No.
what their taxes are.
The incremental financing that you use for the project themselves are based strictly on the growth that occurs.
So it allows us to compare and capture our growth and the county's share of the taxes that normally go to the county to use in that neighborhood.
Correct.
So if we in the future want to do a park or purchase more land for development or street improvements, this special fund would be used only in that neighborhood, is that correct?
Right. And you're earmarking those dollars as they come in for those projects in specific. The plan itself would define what those projects would be.
Would those improvements in the future then cause increase in the tax rate, not rate on homes, but value?
That would be only justified in market after a certain point in time.
But I mean, if City Park, does that typically raise the taxable value of the homes adjacent to it?
Not taxable value, no. It would increase maybe overall the market value of the home in years, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen until you transfer property.
The question I got is, or statement, it's not going to raise our taxes, but it would raise the value of our homes, which
Yes.
would cause the residents to pay more taxes,
No.
more money out of their pocket?
No,
No?
no.
If the value of the
Because
home-
their tax dollars are only going to increase at whatever the rate of inflation is unless they transfer their property. Now, once you've transferred your property, it's going to be based closer on to that market value that's occurred since then. Okay, so the new owner might gain the benefit of that.
So if the value is increased and a new owner pays more, then yes, it would, by uncapping it, it's going to
Right.
result in a higher taxable value. But at the time in which this is underway, and for any existing residents, it wouldn't increase it any more than that.
If you're gonna stay in the home and not do anything to it, it's gonna increase at whatever the rate of inflation is each year, or 5%, whichever's less, because it's limited that way by the state. Okay?
Has any of the other taxing units mentioned that they might consider opting out?
No.
And it was brought up last meeting by a resident, there's a negative to the city. Our hands are tied on that pool of money can only be used, that pool of money for the growth can only be used in that neighborhood. So in a way, if we have a need for street improvements or parks or other things in other neighborhoods, we are limiting a little bit the amount of funds that we have. So there is and I would also urge any of the citizen neighbors that have questions, if this does get introduced, if you have questions or want clarifications, please talk to us after the meeting and or Deb if you have questions. If this does move forward, then maybe we can hear your concerns more immediate and we can share more information with you if this does get introduced. I'm not saying it will or not, but I think we've explained it pretty well. We'd be glad to talk to you one-on-one. I'm sure Deb would too.
Those dollars are specifically earmarked for those projects that are defined by the plan.
I get that. What kind of money are we looking at?
Yeah.
We
That
discussed
are
before.
$1.5 million over 20 years.
So in theory, 20 years from now, we could have $1.5 million in a fund that can only be spent by a vote of a board in a specific authority neighborhood.
Correct, but the plan might only last 5 years.
But it could
That's
last
defined
20
by the board.
Right, but it could last 20 years and be $1.5 million. That can't
Correct.
be touched.
That's the
So-
potential, yeah.
So if we, worst case scenario, nuclear, if something happened in the city and we were scrambling for money and the economy dips down, pool of money that we can't touch. Even
Those
though it's,
dollars are earmarked for
or
those
that neighborhood
projects.
based on
yes.
that, or that vote. And what's the potential gain recoupment from the other tax authorities other than ours? How much are we going to get from the county? Because I've heard concerns from neighbors that it doesn't look good that we're taking money.
I don't have the county's dollars broken out of this projection. I can get them for you.
They were in the previous packet from 2 months ago now, and we can
Those were overall
redistribute
dollars.
those. I'm
Those
sorry.
are overall dollars, because I have the levy here, but those are overall dollars. They're not.
But that's based on
I think I
projections.
asked it last time and I kind of got two different answers. So,
I don't have.
I mean, are we talking $1.5 million over 20 years? Are we talking 50,000 from the county or 500,000 from the county? What ballpark area are we looking at?
Again, I would have to break the county's dollars out of that.
But Deb, doesn't that aren't you guessing what development's going to happen there?
Correct, there's all kinds of assumptions
So
in.
you could get us a number that if there's no new homes in that area, that if 1 or 2% inflation, what that would add up to. And then you could do a guesstimate if we have 10 new homes there, 15 new homes, what that number would be. You could get that for the unit.
Yes,
I think that would be helpful for council.
Is there a concern that new homes won't be built if this doesn't come to fruition?
if this were to come to fruition right now, we currently have our new home and another new home and another new home. So those things are automatically going to be captured if it were to come to fruition.
Well, I was just curious because the list of infrastructure, I'm sure you could just include in your comprehensive capital improvement plan. So really the only thing that might be a little out of the ordinary is the park or the homes themselves. And I just know where I live, there's been a lot of development that we didn't have to do our piece to make that happen. So I was just curious if there was a concern that if this doesn't happen, that we won't see that economic development or those homes built.
But this won't have a negative impact on potential development because the new homes will be taxed whether this is in place or not.
Right.
If I understand, the only real positive to this for the city financially is gaining county dollars. Would you say that's
To
correct?
capture those county.
Capture
dollars, yes.
county dollars. That's our only benefit.
Yes.
And then we would have to have a budget, manage a board, pay for the audits, what's in the
Correct. Yeah, it's a tax increment financing authority, very, very similar to the DDS.
and before we would see any really spendable funds, we're talking probably for at least 5 years maybe, before we have money where we could actually do something.
I've got 7,500 scheduled for the first year.
$7,500. So I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, in the MML leagues, their one pager, it says that you can actually do an initial finance through bonding.
Yes, you could bond the project this one.
All against future funds.
Okay. Because once the authority's created, then they have those powers.
So, I mean, I kind of look at it too, that not to beat this up, but, so if we do need roads, or we need streets, or we need lights fixed, or whatever, are we gonna wait 10 years to take care of this until the funds develop in this special fund, because that's what we set it up for? Or as a city, are we just gonna take care of things as they come about?
That potential income stream, you could bond out for projects.
But we could, can you do that anyways? I mean,
Right, yeah, it's one, to your point, yes, it captures county dollars. And the intent behind this, and I'll take responsibility for bringing it forward and asking Deb to represent it, but the idea was, this is a unique situation whereby you have a developing area, an area that would increase in value much more quickly over time. And so if there were to be an opportunity to capture those dollars to then reinvest in that neighborhood, then this would be the point in which you would do it at the very beginning of the curve versus at the high point of the curve. So we definitely don't want to be negative. It is a more recent, as Deb made reference to, that the state statute only in 2016, I believe, made it available for residential areas. Previously, it was just commercial or industrial areas. So we have currently, we have technically 7 different tax increment finance districts, 3 of which are really only active: the DDA, the LDFA around number 6 around Clemens, and then the southwest corner of the city industrial park is LDFA number 4. So they all operate similarly. They all operate on collecting taxes and then using those funds in which to reinvest in that area. But definitely we don't want to, there's no intention to pit one neighborhood over another, or this is just an opportunity that if you're trying to accomplish certain things that we've identified for that neighborhood, to help fund future improvements to that neighborhood, then this is a way in which you can do that.
I get it for business and commercial, because then the county benefits, when we bring business into Coldwater, the county benefits off of that. And I think that's fair for them to put in their amount. But when we start getting into residential, because part of my fear would be hypothetical, 20 years from now we have 10 pools with $1.5 million if we were that lucky, and something blows up downtown we have to fix and we need money, and now we couldn't spend it. Or could some new development on the edge of town come in on lakefront or something with really high tax dollar money, and we go in and take all that, same thing. I'm in favor of the city gaining funds anywhere we can gain it, but sometimes I think it doesn't look good. The squeeze is not worth the juice. Maybe, we'll find out.
That's a question. The question I have, the situation seems quite ideal to make this work out. What would it take for another neighborhood someplace to say, oh, geez, we want to do that? What does it take? How does that happen?
Actually, potentially, the city could
City could
suggest
identify.
that, like we have in this case.
Okay.
They can petition to do a neighborhood
A
improvement.
group of citizens or a
Yes.
neighborhood could petition to do it.
Yes.
I do have one last question regarding just the plan. You did say it has to come back for us to be approved. So in theory, if the plan said we want to redo all the sidewalks 3 years from now, but they're not exactly at that state that we typically would redo them, would we be able to say, no, you need to wait till they deteriorate further? Because in the sidewalk,
If you're going to approve the plan, you're going to approve the plan as a whole, however it's created, so.
well, I was just curious because the report that they did 2 years ago for the sidewalks for the first ward and second ward, they did a recommendation of which one should be improved. None of the ones in that area were recommended because they were already good quality. Same with the roads, they're pretty good quality through there.
I'm sure that whatever neighborhood improvement authority membership that you have is going to be
in concert with whatever the projects are otherwise inside the city. And if they don't need to improve the sidewalks and it's not part of the plan, then you've got a sidewalk plan outside of this, right? Yeah. Well, it's just the infrastructure piece just keeps getting repeated, so, yeah, I know that's just one of the things.
Because that's one of the primary purposes you would utilize these funds for in the future. And it's going to take time. If the first year collection is only $7,500, you're not going to be able to bond for much to on a payment of whether it's $7,500 or $10,000 or $15,000 until you get that built up. So bonding wouldn't necessarily be available at least early on. In its existence. We definitely don't want to force this upon anybody, and so philosophically, if the council is opposed to it, then it saves us a lot of work. But we thought it was an opportunity to present.
Councilman Knock makes a good point that we traditionally have done these for industrial zone where we're creating jobs for the entire community. This is a little different, and I share his concerns that different. And it's good for the neighborhood, but it ties our hands a bit. I'm sorry.
Well, my concern is just that we can do all of these things. If there's a need in that area, we target it with the monies that the city has. If we tie up the city's monies, then as Jim said, if, God forbid, we have a major recession like we had in 2008, and all of a sudden we need money, and here we've got a chunk of change that's tied up, we have no access to. Now we're creating potentially down the road a problem for ourselves as well. Right now we can target things with the monies that we have. I'm not sure adding another layer of bureaucracy and limiting access to this money other than just to that area is necessarily the way to go.
And no questions, I said, but I have to make a statement. People from our ward are here. I did speak to a lot of people, and I would just like to say that I did not have any residents that were in favor. In addition to people here, there are others. And most people were just skeptical, but not in favor, or they were strictly against it. So,
Yeah,
people maybe don't want it. And I live right in the middle of this. So.
It was a philosophical question. Do we take county tax dollars that would go to the county to put in sidewalks in a subdivision in town? That's a question I guess we all have to wrestle with. But,
I've taken several phone calls in and out of that ward, and I think the same wasn't a good idea.
we can discuss this, but we also have a procedural thing. We are going to look for a motion to excuse our county representative here, Councilman Hazel Baker, and our intermediate member, Mr. Beckwith, from voting. So we would look for a motion to allow them to abstain on this vote.
Motion to allow both to abstain. Support.
Motion support, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? They are abstained. More questions, comments? If anyone is interested, we are looking for a motion to introduce ordinance 829. Seeing none.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, it would just fail for.
Oh, no, it's a good discussion.
Hold on it.
I think the motion, it just dies for lack of support.
Second.
Okay?
Yep.
Die.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. Thank you, Deb. Thanks for your work. Move on to item number 7, a letter from Megan regarding electric transmission line easements. I think we introduced these last time.
On October 26th, so it's been more than 30 days, and this would be the opportunity to approve these easements.
We discussed this, and we can certainly discuss it again. And again, the bad news is each one will be a separate motion and support, and each one requires a roll call vote. So I guess the first question, does anyone have comments or questions for Megan?
Just like people called me on before, are any of these ones that were affecting some people that were upset about them?
I didn't understand the question.
Are any of these agreements involving, there were some people that were upset of going over their houses in certain areas?
This is city-owned property, so it belongs to the city. And formerly, the city had transmission lines, but the city's planning didn't require the breadth, the width of easement and control of the land that Menzies does. So Menzies is using the same easement lines, but they need a broader wingspan for their easements. They want to control vegetation, structures, so that they don't want anything falling on those transmission lines.
And these are all city land.
These are all city-owned property.
Okay, next question is. Any other questions for Megan? I think it's pretty clear cut, but we take all the time we need. If not, we would look for a motion to adopt Resolution 1985 and approve Agreement A1918.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Would the clerk, somebody assistant, please take the roll call vote?
Councilmember Pittsville?
Aye.
Councilmember Casemaker?
Yes.
Councilmember House?
Yes.
Councilmember Clement?
Yes.
Councilmember Mackin?
Yes.
Councilmember Rispin?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Mayor Frank?
Yes. Motion carried. Second would be adoption of Resolution 1986 and approval of Agreement A1919.
So moved.
Support.
We have motion and support. Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Casemaker?
Yes.
Councilmember House?
Yes.
Councilmember Clement?
Yes.
Councilmember Mackin?
Yes.
Councilmember Rispin?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsville?
Yes.
Mayor Frank?
Yes. Motion carried. Adoption, a motion to adopt Resolution 1987 and approve Agreement A1920.
So moved.
Support.
We have motion and support. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Councilmember House?
Yes.
Councilmember Clement?
Yes.
Councilmember Mackin?
Yes.
Councilmember Rispin?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsville?
Yes.
Councilmember Casemaker?
Yes.
Mayor Frank?
Yes, motion carried. And finally, adoption, a motion to adopt Resolution 1988 and approve Agreement A1921.
So moved.
Support.
We have motion and support. Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Clement?
Yes.
Councilmember Mackin?
Yes.
Councilmember Rispin?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsville?
Yes.
Councilmember Casemaker?
Yes.
Councilmember House?
Yes.
Mayor Frank?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you, Jeff. You didn't have to say a word. Number 8, a letter from Keith Baker regarding appointment of new member and alternate member to the 911 board. Keith?
Thank you, Your Honor. Inasmuch as we've had discussions with the county and the ongoing operations of 911, it's a 10-member board, the city of which is 1 member, and seeking to have you appoint me as that member and Director Scheid as our alternate.
Motion.
Okay.
Support.
Motion and support. Any questions? Not all in favor, please. He's made a motion to adopt Resolution 1989. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. We have a last spot on our agenda for public comments. If anyone would like to address council this time, you may do so. Seeing none, we have unfinished business at our level. Any new business at council level? Happy birthday, Mr. Beckwith.
Happy birthday, Sean.